It all started at a casual press event where Bruce was talking about some of the greatest martial artists of all time. Cameras were rolling, fans were watching, and social media was buzzing. Bruce, known for his confidence and skill, made a statement that instantly grabbed everyone's attention. "Chuck Norris? Too old to fight me," he said with a half smile, thinking he was just making a joke. But the room went quiet for a moment. You could feel the tension. People weren't sure whether to laugh or gasp. The words were bold, shocking, and, let's be honest, completely unexpected coming from Bruce. Immediately, the journalists leaned in, trying to catch every word. Fans in the audience whispered to each other, some raising their eyebrows, others trying to stifle laughter. The energy in the room shifted. Social media wasn't far behind. Phones came out, cameras started recording, and tweets were already being drafted. Within minutes, Bruce's words were being shared across platforms, sparking debates, memes, and even playful arguments. The bold claim wasn't just about bragging. It was a moment that tested the legends. Everyone wanted to see how Chuck Norris, the man known for decades of martial arts mastery, would respond. Some fans were excited, some skeptical, but one thing was clear. Bruce had unknowingly set the stage for something unforgettable. And here's the kicker. Bruce had no idea that his words were about to trigger a reaction that would shock him, and everyone watching completely. It was a classic setup for a moment that would be replayed, shared, and talked about for weeks. The real question now was simple. Would Chuck take it lightly, or would he respond in a way that reminded everyone why he's considered a legend? And that, my friends, is exactly what made this story so captivating. Engagement hook. If you were watching this live, what would you have done? Would you laugh, cheer, or brace for the next moment? Comment below with your reaction and the city or country you're watching from. Stay tuned, because what happens next will leave Bruce questioning whether he really underestimated a true martial arts icon. Within minutes of Bruce's bold statement, the news began spreading like wildfire. Social media exploded. Fans from around the world were reacting, some in disbelief, some laughing, others debating fiercely. People were sharing clips, making memes, and tagging friends, all asking the same question. Is Bruce serious? Did he just call Chuck Norris too old to fight? The room where Bruce had made the statement was buzzing with energy. Reporters whispered to each other, trying to figure out the impact. Cameras zoomed in on Bruce, who noticed the growing attention but remained composed. He knew the statement was provocative, but he didn't expect the worldwide reaction to be this immediate. Meanwhile, fans online were chiming in from every corner of the globe. From New York to Manila, London to Sydney, and countless other cities, viewers shared their thoughts and reactions. Some debated who would win in a hypothetical friendly sparring match, while others simply praised the humor in Bruce's comment. The energy was electric, and it seemed like the world was holding its breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Bruce, despite all the attention, maintained his confident demeanor. He answered a few questions from the press politely, laughing lightly when asked if he really meant what he said. But inside, he could feel a sense of anticipation building. Everyone was curious. What would Chuck Norris say? Would he respond publicly? Would he simply laugh it off? In the midst of all this, fans and bystanders started recording their own reactions. Phones popped up everywhere, capturing Bruce's words and expressions. Clips quickly appeared on social media, spreading to millions within hours. The story was no longer just a press event. It had become a global conversation. Engagement prompt. If you're watching this right now, comment below with your city or country and tell us what you would have done if you were there. Would you cheer, laugh, or brace for the next moment? As the minutes passed, it became clear that Bruce's comment had unintentionally set the stage for a legendary encounter. Viewers felt the tension without even being present in the room. Everyone wanted to know, how would Chuck Norris handle this? The anticipation grew stronger with every passing second. Fans imagined Chuck's calm, measured response, his legendary skills, and the wisdom that comes with years of experience. Bruce, realizing the gravity of his words, began to feel a mix of excitement and nervous anticipation. He had made a bold statement, and now the world was waiting for Chuck's reaction. The energy was no longer just in the room. It had spread globally, pulling millions of people into a shared moment of curiosity and suspense. And so, the story moved beyond a simple comment. It became a challenge of legends, a moment that tested respect, skill, and humility. Everyone watching, whether in New York, Manila, London, or Sydney, felt connected to the unfolding drama, waiting for the next moment that would define the encounter between two icons. Comment your city or country right now and tell us, do you think Chuck will respond calmly, or will he shock everyone? Your prediction might surprise others. Stay tuned, because in the next part, Chuck Norris's response will change the entire mood and leave everyone in awe. As the world watched online and in the room, the tension started to rise. Bruce's bold statement, calling Chuck Norris too old to fight, had set the stage, and now, everyone was waiting for the next move. People could feel the weight of the moment. Would this be just words, or would something extraordinary unfold? Bruce, standing confidently in front of the cameras, realized that his comment had sparked more attention than he expected. Fans were whispering, phones were recording, and reporters were leaning in, ready to catch every reaction. Social media notifications were blowing up, with millions following the story live. Each post, comment, and video clip was spreading Bruce's words faster than anyone could have imagined. Meanwhile, the anticipation for Chuck Norris's response grew. People speculated online about how the legendary martial artist would react. Would he respond with humor, wisdom, or would he demonstrate that experience and skill cannot be underestimated? The suspense kept millions glued to their screens, eager to see what would happen next. Back at the press event, Bruce began to feel the pressure. The energy in the room was palpable. Fans were leaning forward in their seats, some whispering excitedly to each other, others holding their phones, ready to capture history. Bruce's confidence remained intact, but inside, a subtle awareness began to creep in. The comment he made was no longer just a playful jab. It was now a challenge in the eyes of the audience, a moment that could define his encounter with a true legend. As the minutes passed, Bruce noticed subtle shifts in the crowd's energy. The whispers grew louder, some people gesturing toward screens, showing Chuck's previous demonstrations of skill. Bruce's friends and assistants nudged him, reminding him to stay composed. He laughed lightly, trying to keep the mood light, but the truth was clear. This was bigger than anyone anticipated. If you were in Bruce's shoes, would you stand your ground or step back? Type stand or step back in the comments. The anticipation wasn't just local, it was global. Fans from Tokyo, Los Angeles, London, Manila, and countless other cities were watching live. Each moment seemed stretched in time, the silence before the storm making everyone wonder. How would Chuck respond? Would he teach a lesson in humility, demonstrate skill, or handle it with the calm authority that has made him legendary? Bruce could see it in the crowd's expressions, the mixture of excitement, tension, and admiration. People were waiting for the next move, and every second counted. He had created a moment that no one would forget, a moment where two generations of martial arts greatness could intersect, even if only symbolically. The suspense built steadily. The audience's curiosity, both in the room and online, became almost tangible. Social media users debated, fans speculated, and millions of viewers felt connected to every heartbeat of the event. Bruce, despite his experience and confidence, understood that words had power, and in this moment, they carried the weight of expectation from around the globe. And then, just as everyone's excitement and anxiety reached its peak, the atmosphere shifted subtly. You could feel it in the air, the calm, composed presence of Chuck Norris, preparing to respond in a way that would leave everyone stunned and thinking twice about underestimating a true legend. Stay tuned, because in the next part, Chuck Norris's response will change everything, leaving Bruce and the audience in complete awe. The room was still buzzing with tension. Bruce had just made his bold claim, and the world was watching every second. Social media feeds were overflowing with reactions, memes, and predictions. Yet, for all the attention Bruce was getting, one question lingered in everyone's minds. How would Chuck Norris respond? Then it happened. A subtle shift in the atmosphere caught everyone's attention. Chuck Norris entered the room, or appeared on a live feed, his calm and composed demeanor immediately drawing every eye. There was no rush, no aggressive stance, just the quiet confidence of a man who had spent decades mastering his craft. The energy in the room changed instantly. A sense of respect and awe rippled through the crowd. Fans began whispering excitedly. Some recognized the quiet authority in Chuck's posture, the way he carried himself. Even those who weren't experts in martial arts could sense it. This was someone whose reputation had been earned through skill, discipline, and years of experience. The murmurs grew louder. People started saying, "That's Chuck Norris, the legend himself." Bruce, still standing confidently, began to notice the subtle reactions. He realized that the man he had joked about was present, or actively responding, in a way that demanded attention without saying a word. The weight of the moment began to sink in. Bruce's half-smile faded slightly as he recognized that the situation was no longer just about a bold comment. It was about the respect owed to someone whose skill and legacy were unmatched. If you were in Bruce's position right now, seeing Chuck's calm presence, what would you do? Type "stay confident" or "step back" in the comments. As the recognition spread, the crowd became more animated. People started recording everything, capturing Bruce's realization and Chuck's composed response. The cameras didn't miss a single glance, a slight nod, or the quiet acknowledgement of mutual respect. It was a moment that seemed larger than life, the kind of encounter fans dream about for years. Social media erupted further. Clips of Chuck's entry, his calm demeanor, and the reactions from Bruce and the crowd went viral almost instantly. Comments poured in from fans worldwide, from Tokyo, Los Angeles, Manila, London, and beyond, sharing the collective excitement of witnessing a legendary interaction unfold. Everyone was captivated by the energy, the suspense, and the silent tension that spoke louder than words. Bruce realized that underestimating Chuck had been a mistake, but he also saw an opportunity. Instead of reacting hastily, he maintained his composure, showing humility and respect. The audience felt this shift immediately. Bruce's change in demeanor humanized him, making the story not just about rivalry or bold words, but about grace, respect, and the recognition of true mastery. The moment was electric. Every fan in the room, every viewer online felt connected to it. They were witnessing a historic encounter, one that balanced suspense, admiration, and the unspoken power of experience. The stage was set for what would come next, a response from Chuck Norris that would leave everyone stunned, but in a way that was respectful, inspiring, and completely unforgettable. Stay tuned, because in the next part, Chuck Norris will show why legends are never defined by age or words, and Bruce will face a moment that he and the world will never forget. The room was electric. Bruce had made his bold claim, and the world was watching. All eyes were now on Chuck Norris, who exuded the quiet confidence of someone who had mastered not just martial arts, but patience, discipline, and respect over decades. The atmosphere was tense, everyone waiting for the moment that would define this legendary encounter. Chuck stepped forward calmly. There was no anger, no need for dramatic gestures. His presence alone spoke volumes. The crowd immediately fell into a hush, sensing the power of experience and mastery in his every movement. Bruce, standing confidently just moments before, now felt the weight of what he had said. The boldness of his comment was about to meet the quiet authority of a true legend. Then Chuck spoke. His voice was steady, calm, and commanding. Age isn't about the number of years. It's about the strength of the mind, the discipline of the body, and respect for others. The words were simple, yet the meaning was profound. Every person in the room could feel the impact. It wasn't a threat, it wasn't a challenge. It was a lesson in humility, experience, and respect. Bruce listened carefully. He realized that underestimating someone, even in jest, could carry consequences, not because of skill alone, but because of wisdom and presence. Chuck's calm response made it clear. True strength is never loud. and true mastery doesn't need to boast. The energy in the room shifted. Bruce's earlier confidence softened, replaced by admiration and the understanding that this moment was about respect, not rivalry. If you were witnessing this, how would you feel? Amazed, inspired, or both? Type amazed or inspired in the comments. The crowd, both in the room and online, was captivated. Social media users shared clips of Chuck's calm but powerful words, and comments poured in from fans worldwide. From New York to Manila, London to Sydney, viewers were amazed by the way a legend could command attention without raising his voice, proving that presence and integrity speak louder than words. Chuck continued, addressing Bruce directly but respectfully. Bold words can spark excitement, but respect builds legacy. Every fighter, every legend understands that. The crowd murmured in agreement. Bruce nodded, understanding the lesson fully. The tension that had filled the room earlier transformed into admiration, both for Chuck's wisdom and for Bruce's humility in acknowledging it. The moment demonstrated that strength isn't about proving someone wrong or winning arguments. It's about controlling energy, staying composed, and letting respect lead the way. Bruce's reaction, the slight nod, the humble smile, showed that even the most confident individuals can learn from legends. It was a lesson not just for him, but for everyone watching. The story had taken a new turn. What began as a playful, bold claim had become an inspiring display of wisdom, humility, and respect. Millions of viewers online were now emotionally invested, seeing not just two martial artists interacting, but a demonstration of how confidence and respect can coexist in the face of challenges. Stay tuned, because in the next part, the world will see how the audience and fans react to this legendary exchange, and why Bruce's experience will serve as a moment of inspiration for all. The energy in the room had shifted completely. What began as a bold, shocking statement from Bruce had transformed into a moment of awe and admiration. Chuck Norris's calm, commanding response wasn't just a reply. It was a demonstration of wisdom, skill, and respect that left everyone watching completely captivated. Fans and bystanders in the room erupted in applause, cheering for the legendary exchange. Phones were raised high, recording every subtle nod, every glance, every calm word Chuck had shared. Social media was exploding as well. Clips of the encounter went viral almost instantly, and millions around the globe tuned in to witness the legendary interaction. From Tokyo to Los Angeles, Manila to London, viewers were sharing their reactions, amazed by how a simple comment could transform into such a powerful lesson about humility and respect. Bruce, standing beside Chuck, felt a mix of emotions. There was still pride in his confidence, but it was tempered by humility and respect. The initial bravado of his comment had met the experience and composure of a true legend. The audience could see it in his demeanor, a slight nod, a thoughtful smile, an acknowledgement that he had learned something valuable in these few moments. Engagement prompt. Have you ever underestimated someone and instantly learn a lesson? Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear it. The crowd's energy reflected the emotional power of the moment. People were no longer focused on the challenge or the playful rivalry. They were witnessing a demonstration of character. Chuck's words had turned a potential confrontation into a universal lesson. Respect and humility matter more than age, reputation, or bravado. Fans online were commenting on the contrast between Bruce's boldness and Chuck's calm composure. Clips were being shared on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts. Viewers everywhere were talking about the moment, praising Chuck's wisdom and Bruce's ability to gracefully acknowledge the lesson. The story had gone beyond martial arts. It had become an inspiring lesson in handling situations with respect and dignity. The audience, both live and online, became part of the narrative. People debated who would have handled the situation better, but almost everyone agreed on one thing. Chuck's calm, commanding presence had left an unforgettable impression. Bruce's reaction made the story relatable. It showed that even confident, skilled individuals can encounter moments that teach humility, and that learning from such moments is a mark of true greatness. The room was alive with excitement, but the energy was no longer tense. It was celebratory. People were applauding, smiling, and discussing what they had witnessed. Social media continued to amplify the story, with hashtags trending worldwide. Fans praised the encounter not just for its entertainment value, but for the life lessons it represented: patience, respect, and the power of calm authority. This moment became a lesson for all watching. It showed that true mastery isn't about winning arguments, proving someone wrong, or being loud. It's about presence, composure, and integrity. Bruce had learned this firsthand, and viewers everywhere were inspired by the display of respect and humility. As the crowd settled and the applause died down, it became clear that this legendary exchange would be remembered for years to come. Millions had witnessed it, millions more would share it, and the story would continue to inspire viewers around the world. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we'll see how this legendary moment went viral, capturing the attention of fans worldwide, and why the lessons learned from Bruce and Chuck will continue to resonate. The story didn't end in that room. It went global. Within hours, clips of Bruce and Chuck's legendary exchange were flooding social media platforms. Millions of fans around the world were watching, commenting, and sharing their reactions. From New York to Manila, London to Sydney, viewers couldn't stop talking about what they had just witnessed. The boldness of Bruce's comment, followed by Chuck's calm but commanding response, had created a moment that people everywhere could relate to. It wasn't just about martial arts or who was stronger. It was about respect, humility, and the lessons that come when you face someone with true mastery. Fans flooded the comment sections, sharing how inspired they were by the way Chuck handled the situation. People praised Bruce for gracefully acknowledging the lesson and Chuck for demonstrating the power of composure and wisdom. Clips were turned into memes, reaction videos, and short compilations, spreading like wildfire across YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. The story had become a global conversation, with millions participating in the discussion. Engagement prompt. If you learned something from this legendary moment, type legend in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. The viral spread of the story also sparked deeper conversations online. Fans discussed the importance of humility, the value of respect in all fields, and how even confident, skilled people can learn from others. Bruce's initial comment might have sparked the attention, but the real impact came from the lessons learned in the exchange. It reminded everyone that true strength is measured not just by skill, but by character. Even beyond the martial arts community, the story resonated. People from all walks of life were inspired by the way Chuck handled the situation: calm, respectful, and confident, turning what could have been a moment of tension into a powerful lesson in personal growth. Bruce's reaction, showing grace and humility, made the story relatable and encouraging for viewers worldwide. By the end of the day, hashtags related to the encounter were trending globally. Fans celebrated the legendary interaction, creating artwork, reaction videos, and heartfelt posts highlighting the importance of respect, patience, and integrity. Bruce and Chuck's story became more than just a viral moment. It became an inspiring example of how words, actions, and humility can leave a lasting impact. The encounter reminded everyone watching that lessons can come from the most unexpected moments. It proved that even the boldest statements can turn into opportunities for growth, and that the way you respond to challenges can define how others remember you. Bruce had learned a valuable lesson. Chuck had reminded the world why he is a legend, and fans everywhere were inspired to carry that lesson into their own lives. If you believe in respect, humility, and learning from life's legendary moments, type legend in the comments, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.